introduce yourself shortly. Let's start with Ryan.
Yeah, I'm Ryan Kirkley, managing partner at Krypton Labs, and have a lot of experience both in the investing side of gaming and working with a couple companies as an advisor.
Hi everyone, I'm Nicola Sebastiani, Chief Content Officer and CEO for the US of The Sandbox, a UGC Web3 metaverse part of Animoca Brands. Previously, I was in executive positions at PlayStation and in leadership position in games at Apple.
Hi everyone, I'm Megan Casper. I'm the Managing Director of First Light, which is an emerging decentralized technology investment firm, and also co-founder of, or managing member founder of Red DAO, which is the world's first digital fashion-focused DAO.
Sweet, and I'm Brando Murphy, investor, principal consultant for Deep Link, and founder.
I'm Evan L. Yang, Group President, Animoca Brands, Web3 investor, game builder, advisor.
Okay, and I want to actually talk about, there is a 10x in gaming, and what is the next big thing during probably next 10 years?
I think the next big thing, 10x, I would look at user-generated content. Roblox and Fortnite are paving the way. So essentially what's happened in games today is similar to what happened in video over the past 5 to 8 years. No one would have guessed that YouTube was going to generate Mr. Beast, Nelka, and similar stuff. This is already happening in games, and we're not at the very beginning, but luckily for investors and family offices, it happen only in a few platforms. It is becoming prominent in more and more platforms, like, for example, The Sandbox and more. So I will look at that first.
I think user-generated content also, but harnessing AI and on-chain ownership of assets, not only in gaming, but on social media. Right now, a lot of the companies that we invest in are chipped or connected products, so they're physical items that are connected on-chain to a smart contract. Earlier, Lin was speaking about his wife's Chanel handbag not really having much more utility than using it as a handbag, but eventually when all of our physical products are tied to smart contracts on-chain, people will really care about owning their assets on-chain because they'll be able to have unlocked liquidity, take leverage against them, do a lot of cool things with them, like the new version of digital flexing with your assets. So all the things that we own right now in the physical world, we don't really prove yet, but we will soon on-chain.
Yeah, and for me, personally, I think the best opportunity in the world right now is crypto and blockchain technologies. There's many sectors out there, but I personally believe gaming and AI will be the biggest winners, especially if you are focusing on the assets that they're not talking about in the mainstream. So I would start there.
Thank you. Animoca Brands itself has made its name basically from a gaming background into making about, I guess, 150 or so gaming investments. And we also began, shall we say, diversifying away from gaming into other activities as well. We made about 60 investments this year. And as we talk about this sort of away from just gaming meta, we counted up the deals that we did, and we still did 60% gaming deals. So Web3 gaming, we still believe in it. And one of our portfolio companies, Pixels, has found itself a lot of success this year in terms of its number of users, etc. I think 2 years ago, the gaming meta in Web3 was a little bit early. And now you see many more games coming to market. Obviously, one of our proudest subsidiaries, Sandbox, is doing very well, opening up all its experiences simultaneously. It's about getting a number of users. I think 5 million wallets now, right? Yeah, 5.5 million wallets. So with account abstraction, much easier onboarding. We believe digital asset ownership will be enabled through Web3 in a short period of time.
Yeah, I think what I'm most excited about is user-generated content and AI, really how it can play into customized game flow and the ability for unique playthroughs every time, whether it's multiplayer games that could have generated assets in real time, all the way over to single player kind of making a comeback in the gaming sphere.
And my next question, what do you think about sustainable gaming and like the community building capital funds too? What is your probably main advice for the investors and family offices? What they should focus it on?
I mean, I think, for me, gaming, whether it's Web3, whether it's AI, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's actual project, it's all about, is it actually good for the end user? Does the end user actually want to play this game? Do they want to interact in it? Do they want to have tokenized assets? Do they want to have real world ownership? Do they want to have, on-chain ownership? And I think we often forget that is we'll build something in a small bubble of crypto without thinking about the average gamer and the average use case. Not to say there aren't great exceptions, there are. But I think for family offices and things like that, that's the thing to consider is don't get too hyped by the tech. Make sure it still is going to apply to the consumer.
You mean sustainable games? You mean games for good, or
Plus
yeah?
revenue plus something with a social impact.
Okay. We at the Sandbox do a lot of partnerships like that on with communities. We do things that help fighting deforestation. We do partnerships on certain causes. Either we do them directly, or by nature of being an open metaverse, we just allow anyone to open and publish experiences around a certain belief, obviously with some limitations. So I think it's very important. However, if I was to invest in it, I will still invest around the fun. Thinking that, I've seen in my career many times companies that come with an idea for good and then the fun is on top of it. It doesn't work like that. If you don't make a fun game, if you don't make a game that has engagement, if you don't think about the player first, you can have a lot of goodwill, but you're not going to be successful. And you're going to lose your money as an investor.
We focus primarily on device disruption because I think gaming will shift quite drastically when our phones will be shifting to a near-eye wearable, similar to Apple Vision Pro. Gaming sort of becomes a function that we all participate in through social reality, social media. When you're wearing a near-eye wearable that enables in real-time gaming or any sort of feature or function that we use on our phones, I think that's going to unlock a lot of new business models and liquidity and provide the to-earn economy beyond just a play-to-earn feature. It's becomes where to earn, it becomes learn to earn, do to earn, and a whole entire economy will come out of that.
Yeah, and for me, what we're doing at Deep Link is we're providing a way for more gamers to access high-end games, these AAA games and blockchain games. So what we did is we created a cloud game protocol, which pretty much it leverages the ability, levels the playing field for gamers to be able to play these games with low latency and with devices that could be the most cheapest, or they basically don't have to utilize the high-end devices to play these games. So they can play them on old phones, old desktops, and still access the same game experience as somebody who is able to afford the high-end device. So I feel like protocols or ways that people could invest in the future of gaming that can accelerate it, because we know we're moving to a cloud gaming era, right? Which is, I feel like, a new way of gaming. So if you can look for opportunities that can help facilitate that, that would be great. Deep Link is one of them.
I think for us investors in Web3 gaming, it's really around watching what the launch is in terms of FDV of the token, and then what happens, what will transpire after that. I think right now in the current meta, I think the cycle, there is a little bit of a trend towards TG unlocks, which is kind of like right away you see the token prices getting pressured on right away. And that is something that is we watch as sustainability, because at the end of the day, you have more, the velocity of the users is onboarded versus the tokens that will be sold by investors, including family offices, is something that we have to watch, right? So ultimately, I think the high FDV and the lower float kind of meta that's going on right now. We have to watch how that's going to transpire.
Yeah. And my question is, if we talk about the next unicorn in gaming industry, or probably you have like your own benchmark, base it on new tech. Probably it's AI. Probably it's something like that. I don't know. Not like the next sandbox, but do you have something like the
AI generated, AI driven more than UGC driven, because you've seen the next unicorns already appearing, obviously. Roblox, as in a smaller scale. But I think the equivalent of either AI through NPC, so very heavy, how does the interaction with the world are impacted in real time by an AI, by an LLM, whatever it is, or creation-driven AI where players become content creator and, oh, I want to build a vehicle, I want to do something. I think it's going to be something around that.
I would also add that well, Sandbox probably, hopefully. I think when users start to realize that they want to actually own their assets, it's going to become extremely important for these games. Roblox is on track to generate over $4 billion this year. That's more than some of the largest fashion brands in the world. And when those users realize that they don't really own their digital fashion, skin, clothing items, and there are platforms that do offer that, I think there will be a huge shift from users in centralized gaming platforms to decentralized.
So there is a lot of opportunities in Web3. Since November last year, we probably invested in 32 opportunities. I know you want names. I'll just, Deep Link is one, because I represent Deep Link. There's one called KIP Protocol, which Andy Mocha is involved with as well. And I'll throw out one. It's a gaming project that we're also partnered with Deep Link. It's called Poncheeks. And you guys should definitely look into it. But yeah, I mean, there's so many opportunities. We can be throwing out all types of assets. But I think most importantly is for people to truly understand the opportunity at hand. And I don't think people really do. We're at a time where you have the opportunity to invest and own in the infrastructure of the new digital economy. And a lot of these companies could help facilitate that. So personally, it's more than just gaming, it's more than just AI. It's about what the new economy globally is gonna look like and how we can own that. So I feel like where we are, we're at a stage where there's many new companies being launched and born, and we have the opportunity to help them. And I feel like if you're able to understand the trends, we love to say the trend is your friend. If you know where things are headed, you're able to be there in the end zone dancing like Deion Sanders before they get there. So we pride ourselves in being in that end zone first. So I feel like Deep Link is a great opportunity. And you know, there's so many ways that you guys can go and kind of see this stuff for yourselves. You go look up and find the top investment companies like Andy Mocha. Look at what they're investing in. There's sites out there that tells you what they're investing in as early as possible. And if you know that, you can ride their wave. Like I had to buy Sandbox on public, right? But because at then I wasn't investing and I didn't have my fund. But I bought it early. I saw the trend. I saw it was at 5 cents. I said, I know this is gonna win. And I just have a knack for picking these hidden gems. So it rose up and it did pretty well. So if you can do that and not get, stop following the hype and the narratives out there. Make your own decisions and investigate truth on your own terms. And I feel like you'll be able to find some cool stuff. Or you talk to somebody like me or them.
Deion Sanders, you're showing your age a little bit. So, so no, for us, obviously, we look at lots of deals. Anything gaming related should, usually would come across our desk. We are somewhat choosy, but we also look at founders as well. But I think I don't want to talk about specific things that we look at, but if you look at the ton ecosystem, for instance, right? We have been bullish on that for a long time, right? So we have some partnerships with them, obviously declaring interest, but the valuation is quite high. But we feel that on relative terms, if you look at Ronin as an ecosystem, obviously it's a different kind of a philosophy, right? Given that it's permission-based, but that has also kept the quality very high in terms of games. And Pixels is obviously part of Ronin ecosystem. Sky Mavis, has been, have put Axie on there for a long time, so the qualities are good. So if you look at the metrics, pure metrics, you'll find that probably Ronin is undervalued overall, right? So that's sort of an interesting perspective. But again, you can do DCFs on stocks and all that kind of stuff, and whether or not actually gets to that kind of equilibrium level has a lot to do with momentum and narrative at this stage anyway, right? So.
Probably, like the gaming investment, it's one of the hardest because it's like the high risk, high return because it's content too. What do you think it should be your advice for the family offices, because it should be plus strategic investors too? And what is your advice for the probably, because like for the 6-7 years, for this family offices to be more, be deeply in gaming and probably be friendly. Because I know in Sandbox you have a family office too. You have like the more than 250 startups, right? Yeah. No, my point is like it's hard, but yeah. How the investors can join and be like the part of the venture capital firms too, because it's completely different, and Gen Z to join. Many of the kids investors should be actually be like the part of this venture capital, and the money coming from the family offices. Let's start.
Okay, so I've seen family office backing a team that made one of the biggest shooter in the world, probably the biggest video game in the world, with a lot of money. Didn't work. And then I've seen family office backing like a completely new team with enough money, didn't work. So it's a really hard industry. I'd say hire or find someone that you trust that is in the industry, but for real, not that has worked there like a couple of years. Like essentially, once people are 10 to 20 years in certain company, in certain positions, there's a kind of network and a kind of information sharing that is just, it works. And sometimes they might lead you astray because they think that someone is better than it is because they're friends. But in general, we'll say hire someone, find an advisor, and really vet him or her through many reference, and don't drink the Kool-Aid. Don't buy what people tell you first. Like once you find that person, you're in great hands, but it might take a long time.
Yeah, a lot of the family offices that have invested in the more digital fashion deals like DressX, Kiki, there's several of them that we've done, and they've done so because they realize that the majority of the revenue on the centralized gaming side has come from these digital skins. And again, when the user realizes that they are going to want to own these digital skins on chain, that'll be really important to have an investment in a company that's offering those assets that are whether purely digital and or tied to a connected product, similar to what Louis Vuitton launched last year, which was a physical product tied to a digital, and it's has many different features and functions. But the fact that the asset is now on chain and can be used inside of digital realms and worlds also unlocks a feature that physical assets today do not have.
Yeah, and I can't speak to the family offices, but what I can speak to is how I run a community VC And so that gives people, the individual investor, the little guy, a chance to become the big guy. And we invest in a lot of different opportunities out there. Been in the space since 2016, so I've kind of helped people navigate and avoid certain pitfalls so that they're able to participate in these early pre-seed and seed opportunities that you can't get access to unless you know somebody, like he said. But red Kool-Aid is good, though, to drink sometimes. But yeah. But yeah, there's so many opportunities out there. Like you said, you just have to come to these events, find the right people, if they resonate with you, because there's going to be a lot of shillers in this space, and you want to avoid those, you know. And you also want to avoid the people who, you know, try to come off as know-it-alls, right? So I just feel like if you're able to come to these events, network, talk to the right people, if they resonate with you, and you can fact check them, look and see that they have a history and track record, then I feel like you're able to kind of tap into these certain spaces. And my hands are clean, ladies and gentlemen, so yeah.
I'll just say one word for this. We do work with family offices who support us for a long time. So we show them deals that are really privileged access. So, you know, so sometimes investing in the investor or with the investor, when we raise the fund and all that, would give some certain access as well.
Yeah, I mean, I would say as the person who's probably the most of an outsider to the gaming industry, but does a lot of investments, exactly like I said, you invest with people who have been in the industry for a while. Find someone who is the expert. I've invested in a couple of games, but I've done it where either you guys are leads in the investor, or it was, you know, a really, like EA Sports came in on with them or things like that. And yeah, you have to trust the people who know the industry better. Likewise with AR, VR technologies, et cetera. They're incredibly complicated. They're moving pieces. They require sometimes $200, $300 million to do these glasses. You have to be able to support that growth stage to be able to invest in it as a family office. And so I think it's always better to look to the experts in the space, to go through VCs, to go through the brands that are kind of leading the industry and partner with them rather than trying to invest on your own island, because this is definitely one of the hardest spaces to consistently generate high returns.
Thank you so much.